Saying a special good morning to the listeners, good morning to the viewers. Welcome to today's edition of To The Point. It's Tuesday, the 25th day of August, 2026. Good morning to those of our social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels. Welcome. Let me say welcome. I think the gentleman is actually making his debut on my program today. Good morning to you, sir. That's Mr. Dylan Charles. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I don't know if this is my debut. I might have been here before for something else.
I think with me, probably between me and you in terms of me hosting the program. Probably.
Yeah, but I think might have been you as well. I'm not sure. But I feel like I've been on this program already in the past.
Probably been, but I don't think I ever had you in
okay.
the program. Well, welcome. How are you doing there?
Not too bad. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning, Grenada.
Yep.
Happy to be here. Happy to speak to the people, speak to you, and see what you want to talk about.
Let's see if we can get the ball rolling up this morning. I want to kick the conversation off like this. I have heard you explicitly spoken in relation to about bridging the age gap. I heard you spoke about that and the new generation and what concrete organizational structure are you been introducing thus far to in terms of the young professionals and so forth, feeling secured, talking about the front in terms of the frontline organization of the national. What's still, or while still respecting, if we could get that come across the way I wanted to be, while still respecting the legacy of the party stalwarts. Talk to me in terms of how is it that you are bridging that generation divide within the New National Party, if you get the structure of my question.
Yeah, I get the general sense of your question. So I'll say the first thing first, is that me stepping forward is the first move or action I would say that you have to note in making people feel comfortable in stepping forward.
Yeah.
Because my generation, and probably the generation after me, has seen what has occurred, what has happened, and we are very internet, social media generation. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are hesitant, afraid, living in fear of coming forward and representing whether or not their beliefs politically or their beliefs behind a party. And it's not to say that everyone wants to be coded green, yellow, orange. Some people just want to have a voice, want to have a say, and they don't want to be categorized. But from the time you say anything, from the time you oppose somebody, from the time you support something, you're being colored. And I don't want to just change the culture of my party. It's more of a across the board political landscape of encouraging people. Given my background, given who I am, given where I come from, I believe that if people saw me step forward, it would encourage more people to believe that they could enter this space, they could be comfortable in this space, and they could work in this space. Things that are being done in the party, there's some initiatives that we will plan to roll out soon in terms of young professionals and just the young people in general, that we want to come and have them come on board, add their voice, and generate ideas and thoughts for policies to go forward.
Why the New National Party for you, sir?
The New National Party has a record of actually successful development, successful transformation. I mean, I was born in 1991. 1991 to now, Grenada has drastically changed. And being someone, and I don't even just say that from a St. George's perspective, because I'm actually from St. Andrews. My family hails from Bush Grove, Granbra, and Grenville at large. So I would have had to go between Grenville and St. George's quite often.
Okay.
And I would have seen the development. I mean, just take for example, I would have showed in one of the town hall meetings a picture of that street, Melville Street, right after the storm surge. You look at Melville Street today, and Melville Street is unrecognizable to anybody who has not been here in 20 years. If you last time you were in Grenada was 1998, you cannot recognize. There are people who don't even know that before the Esplanade and Blue Street Mall expansion, before the bus terminus was there, and before the bus terminus was placed where it is now, you had to know which street your bus was located on, whether it be H.A. Blaze, St. John Street, Melville Street, some part in the markets. People don't know that. People, if you ask someone between 20 and 30 right now, and you should think that they may have a reasonable understanding, they can't see that. Another part of development is I have lived to see town be replaced or town be twinned in Granates. economic boom is happening in Grenada. And if you go back again 20 years, if you have not been in Grenada for 20 years, Grenada on a whole is unrecognizable. So the question is, why the NMP? The NMP has a track record of developing and committing and giving us successful projects time and time again.
Your role as the new General Secretary, how has it been for you thus far?
It's been actually very interesting. It's been exciting, I would say. I like a new challenge. A lot of people told me, boy, this is one of the most important roles in a political party. I have mentors, I have friends from other islands. They say, Delon, you sure? Like, you sure you're ready to take on all this? What's going on with work and whatnot? You sure you can handle it? I've been taking it one day at a time. I have been meeting a lot of people. I've been all over the place. I've been all over the country at this point in time. And to be honest, I've been encouraged by our members. I've actually been encouraged by the general public as well, because they want to see new faces. They want to have fresh faces and new ideas in the space that I'm currently in, which is the political space of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique.
All right. Have anyone ever dig deep into you about your political philosophy? What is it?
In terms of why politics and what I want to see out of politics?
Yes.
I've always had an interest in nation building, and not just nation building, but social development. And it came more at head when I just started practicing, because I'm a lawyer by profession.
Okay.
I would have been invited by the chief magistrate at the time to go to children's court, which happens or occurs on the last Friday of the month. And I just sat in to see if she needed my assistance, to see what was happening. And I was taken aback by the amount of young people or just broken families that I just felt like needed some attention or needed some assistance. And I think and when I look at what other countries are doing, and you have to compare Grenada to its neighbors, while we are somewhat in front of most of the region, there's still work to be done. I applaud the NMP for what they have done over the years, but again, things happen in phases, and I think what we need the next phase of our journey is definitely to attack a lot of social issues. So one of the things I would always try and harp on or talk about is that we don't do enough in developing our community centers and developing institutions that will assist single parent families, because a lot of the boys, a lot of the girls that came before that court were just children whose parents were either at work or their grandparents couldn't oversee them, and all they needed was to find some extra curricular activity or some space or some place where they could focus and channel their energies in a positive, productive place. And that is where I believe my voice can help change that. Like, that is one of the things I want to see happen. And MP should be advocating to alleviate those burdens of single parenting or just deep expenses. Aftercare is very expensive today, and with the rising cost of living, a lot of people cannot afford aftercare. They tend to take their children with them to work and have them working with them long hours. So the next day the child is frustrated, he can't focus at school, and we're seeing a lot of that, and it's increasingly more today. So circle back to it. Nation building is something I feel passionate about. I want to see Grenada exceed. I want to see Grenada excel. There's ideas that I have, and I guess when we come together and bring all ideas at the forefront, that's when you get the golden one and you push it forward.
Oh, great. So the avenue you see that the new National Party as it stands now, the team that is of course compacted together, the readiness for election. As the General Secretary, is the new National Party ready if there's an election that is called a week from now?
I would say yes.
A good time.
I say yes. If the election is called a week from now, we have put all our mechanisms in place.
Yes.
If it was to call tomorrow, we are ready to go. As the political leader said on Saturday, season open. Outside like breeze. We are ready to do the work. We're ready to take charge of what needs to be taken charge of, and we're ready to come back into office. And we believe that we have the right team to do so.
How confident are you in the internal structure of the new National Party as it stands right now?
Very confident. Very confident. NMP is a robust organization, I would say. There are teams assigned with certain tasks, and they operate at a very high level. So I am a part of one or two teams, which are probably three teams. We meet, we discuss. I mean, WhatsApp is there now, emails are there. I'm very interactive and very responsive, and other people are as well.
All right, great. We drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. To the Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. We'll be right back after the break. Don't touch your dial. Stay with us.
About your new home? Think easy. Think of Republic Bank Home Easy Loan.
Affordable quality products delivered to you via superb service. We are Superb Distributors, wholesalers and authorized agents for trusted products you know and love. Like Rika Juices, Pure Heaven products, Bibbin Diapers, New Bright Laundry Detergent, Allegra Pasta, and more.
Contact Superb Distributors at 435-2948 for superb quality and service.
Life doesn't stand still. It moves. It grows. It asks you to believe in what's next. Your first car. Owning your home. The business you build, the future you choose to invest in. Life moves in steps. When you're ready to take the next one, we're here to help you move forward with banking solutions designed for life. From vehicle financing and mortgages to education savings, credit solutions, and support for your growing business. Republic Bank, ready for life. Every step.
Grenada, we're back again. Faith Pentecostal Tabernacle presents Turning Point 4, grand finale, taking place at the Gateway Conference Center, Saturday, September the 5th, 2026 at 7 p.m. sharp. Come and find out what will happen to Officer Brown. Will he finally get married? How about Sheila? Will she ever stop the gossip and have a turnaround? How about the ghost, Raymond? Will he ever be found? All these and more will be answered at Turning Point 4, the grand finale. Your tickets cost $50 more at the door. Don't forget your ticket outlet, Gittins Pharmacy, St. George, and Grand Anse. Turning Point 4, the finale.
Should I have seen that? Listen to me. Don't question, you know I'm gifted. Okay?
Your Honor, something has to be wrong here.
No, nothing is wrong.
Brothers and sisters, I'm blocking out.
The Caribbean's highly anticipated international drags returns to the Spice Isle of Grenada. The Grenada Motor Club proudly presents the King Ocean International Drags, September 26th and 27th at the Pearls International Speedway. Get ready for what is anticipated to be one of the largest international drag racing events the Caribbean has ever seen. Witness some of the fastest and most powerful drag racing machines in the Caribbean, along with international participation from across the region, North America and South America. 2 days of speed, power, adrenaline, and non-stop action. And it doesn't stop at drag racing. Expect some special drift entertainment, appearances from some of the Caribbean's top influencers, and so much more. Mark the dates, September 26th and 27th. The King Ocean International Drag. The Caribbean is coming to the Spice Isle. You don't want to miss this one.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, once again. And of course, it's To The Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. As mentioned, of course, have Mr. Dylan Charles with us this morning here on the program, Represents Opposition Tuesday on today's edition. Alan, welcome back. Hope you don't mind me saying on a first name basis.
No problem. It's Dylan. Yeah.
Dylan. Why are you saying Dylan? It's Dylan.
Yeah, this rapper that from Grenada and was on Bad Boy, and everybody just pick up this Dylan thing.
Dylan, but it's Dylan.
It's Dylan.
All right, great. I want to get the conversation going in this segment. You know, Grenada has always had political differences. But do you believe that our politics per se is becoming more divisive in some way or the other?
It is, and this is one of the things why I said it first off, which is why I stepped forward to encourage and to help dispel the notion that young people shouldn't be stepping forward, because there's this big fear that from the time you say anything for or against, you cast it at somebody and you're getting attacked. I think our leaders, and I speak on behalf of the New National Party, in saying that we do not encourage this. At the end of the day, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique is here for all of us. We all want to see its development. We all want to see progress. But we have to be able to communicate with one another constructively and be able to take constructive criticisms. We cannot always be trying to bash the other person. It has to be a line drawn, and we need to address it sooner rather than later.
Why are we not hearing? Of course, you're part of the leadership of the New National Party, being the General Secretary. It's like a leadership position. Mm-hmm. Why are we not hearing the leaders a whole lot, especially you have the major political parties in Grenada, making that particular stand?
Well, funny enough, I've actually heard the political leader, Mr. Mlenpe, speak on this. She's said it in some terms that she doesn't, or even in some spaces, that she doesn't agree with the online bash. She doesn't agree with the name calling. We must do things and keep things above board. I think Michelle Obama is famously quoted for saying, when they go low, we go high, and I think that should always be our mantra. I feel like we need to be able to come together and discuss things and move forward. There shouldn't be this great divisiveness between parties anywhere in Grenada. We're too small. Yeah. We're literally, a matter of fact, the Caribbean is too small.
I agree. But are you seeing, the political division that we're seeing in Grenada today? Do you think it's been encouraged more, or rather that it's been reduced in any way?
No, it's definitely, if you live online, and I believe, a lot of my regional friends ask me why I'm on Facebook still, right? Like, Facebook is so dated. I tell them, listen, if I don't follow Facebook, I don't know what's happening in Grenada. But from the time you go on Facebook, you are basically met with all negative comments about somebody attacking this person for having a thought that's gonna oppose somebody that they in favor with. It can't be that. Take the constructive criticism, see where the gap is, understand and appreciate that person's perspective, and move forward. It cannot be we're out here attacking each other for having a difference of opinion every single time.
But why are we not seeing? I mean, it still goes back to my previous question. Why are we not seeing a lot more of emphasis being put into it from the political leaders of this nation? Why are we not seeing more? You speaking about it. I may talk about it in quarters, maybe off air. I may speak about it with individuals. But why are we not seeing more has been done to have a reduction in that? People, sometimes there are individuals who are fearful for a lot of reasons.
Correct.
Who may have positive things to say to even help develop Grenada. Mm-hmm. But once it's been done in a manner or set under a political banner per se, you know what happens.
Correct. And I can't speak for the other parties because I haven't heard anything from them, period. But what I would say is, and even you yourself just noted that you haven't really heard from our political leader in that aspect, I would say that people have a tendency of focusing on the negative rather than focusing on the positive. But we have to continuously, not because that is the first preference of people, we have to keep repeating the message that we need to stop this kind of behavior. We need to nip it in the bud, because if we continue down this path, it's going to lead to more conflict. It's going to be, God forbid, it leads to physical conflict between people, and that's what we don't want to get to. We must be able to live in harmony with one another and be able to work with one another.
What happens when a country's citizens, begins to feel that access to opportunities, contracts, or maybe assistance depends on who they support politically?
That is when we do away with what is meritorious, and we do away with what is competitive, and that is going down a road that I don't even want to imagine, because I believe in people gaining opportunities through good merit, through who's do it based on their performance and what their expertise is and what their experience states, rather than I know someone. It should always be any contract or award, any opportunity should always be given on merit first. And I fear that we're going down a slippery slope when it comes to that. And you're seeing it across the board. Yeah. It's funny that you bring that up, because if you look at other aspects, you see how it ricochets to everything else, or ripples to everything else. And I give this, I guess I could raise this comparison in that if we're not going to award persons for their excellence, how then are we going to identify who is excellent and from who is not? And I give that comparison to common entrance and probably CXA. In my day, you knew who was first, who was last.
Yes.
Today, nada. So I don't even know I don't even know that I am performing as a young person. Okay. I'm performing at an elite level to push myself, or how far behind I am.
Well, you know you've been awarded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're losing that competitive nature in ourselves. I mean, they say survival of the fittest, but it really means pushing one another to excel more. Without competition, you're not going to breed that excellence that we need.
Tell me this also. How does the new National Party intends to oppose, the government strongly without continuously to the same political, tribalism, as they would say, or criticizing the government? What do they intend to do?
The new National Party intends to ask some very hard questions, and we have been asking hard questions. The thing is, this government has failed to answer those questions. They fail to be transparent, and they fail to be accountable. And if you fail to be accountable and transparent, there's legal recourse for doing things. I mean, the rule of law has to remain of paramount consideration. We cannot forget the rule of law. I've heard comments from people making comments like, we found creative ways of avoiding or doing things not in accordance with the laws of the land. And that is concerning to hear, because that sends a signal from the head to the bottom that you can bypass the law. That is not what should be put out there. The law is the law, and is there to keep us balanced and accountable to one another. You cannot be breaking rules and expect to be glorified for it. So the new National Party intends to ask hard questions and intend to pose challenges to certain actions taken by this government.
Tell me, what would Dylan Charles say to young Grenadians right now who are tired of the constant NMP versus the other parties out there? That so-called warfare we hear, if we could tip that word in there, and simply want a competent government.
I would tell them to strip away all the faces, all the facades, all the gimmicks, and look and see what policies both parties have enacted over the years, and what parties have actually been successful in enacting those policies, and how impactful those policies have been. And if you do that, if you do your research and you look back and you peel back the layers, your answer will only be that the new National Party has succeeded, has proposed, and has developed this country to make it what it is today.
Tell me, the distractions that young people have in the world today. You look at the majority who sits on the roadside, or who do the odd jobs and so forth. They don't have the time for the research, as you mentioned, to figure out who did this and who did that. How can we get them to be more focused on what's going on today within the country? Other than going out to research or go to Facebook, and you say, I understand your reasons why we do Facebook. I do it too, in order to get information. Sometimes you will find out nothing if you don't go. Mm-hmm. You understand? But there's the majority of young people who don't have that interest. looking for the everyday way of surviving in a country, but then still have to contend with the as I mentioned, the warfare and the incompetence of certain things going around.
Well, you see, you bring up the young people, a specific group of young people, and those are the disenfranchised young people who feel like they don't have a voice. That's a completely different kettle of fish, because having worked with some of them, they actually just want an opportunity. They want to be met halfway. They come from, again, broken families, broken homes that don't exactly have, not all of them, but a huge majority of them come from that way. They don't actually have a mentor or someone guiding them properly. So they just want somebody to reach out to them, talk to them, and engage them and tell them, hey, you could do this and earn a living, and then appreciate what they do. There's a lot of young guys, young men in this country who are lost. Yeah. And they're just being left to their own devices, and nobody approaching them, nobody engaging them. And it's for us, it's for the governments, the political organizations, the NGOs to reach out to these young men, to these young women who may appear lost, and take them under the wing, give some guidance and some mentorship, and see them through. So while I'm saying to a greater population, go and do research, these young people, they need their hand to be held. Yeah. They want their hand to be held, because they didn't have that growing up. They felt like they were on their own. If not all of their life, most of their life, they felt like they were discarded, and they have not had anyone looking after them or caring for them as they see elsewhere. So it's on those cases, we have to hold their hand and move forward.
All right. We drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. We'll be right back. Don't touch it down.
Looking for a...
A new school year means new opportunities, but it also means new expenses. From uniforms and books to laptops, transportation and school supplies, Grenville Cooperative Credit Union Limited is here to help. Apply for a back-to-school loan and give your child the confident start they deserve with affordable financing and friendly service from the credit union you know and trust. Visit your nearest Grenville Cooperative Credit Union branch or call us today for more information. Grenville Cooperative Credit Union Limited, helping members build brighter futures, one school year at a time.
Grenada, we're back again. Faith Pentecostal Tabernacle presents Turning Point 4, grand finale, taking place at the Gateway Conference Center, Saturday, September the 5th, 2026 at 7 p.m. sharp. Come and find out what will happen to Officer Brown. Will he finally get married? How about Sheila? Will she ever stop the gossip and have a turnaround? How about the ghost, Raymond? Will he ever be found? All these and more will be answered at Turning Point 4, the grand finale. Your tickets cost $50 more at the door. Don't forget your ticket outlet, Gittins Pharmacy, St. George, and Grand Anse. Turning Point 4, the finale.
Should I have seen that? Listen to me. Don't question, you know I'm gifted. Okay?
Your Honor, something has to be wrong here.
No, nothing is wrong. You know.
Brothers and sisters, I'm blocking out.
The Caribbean's highly anticipated international drags returns to the Spice Isle of Grenada. The Grenada Motor Club proudly presents the King Ocean International Drags, September 26th and 27th at the Pearls International Speedway. Get ready for what is anticipated to be one of the largest international drag racing events the Caribbean has ever seen. Witness some of the fastest and most powerful drag racing machines in the Caribbean, along with international participation from across the region, North America and South America. 2 days of speed, power, adrenaline, and non-stop action. And it doesn't stop at drag racing. Expect some special drift entertainment, appearances from some of the Caribbean's top influencers, and so much more. Mark the dates, September 26th and 27th. The King Ocean International Drags. The Caribbean is coming to the Spice Isle. You don't want to miss this one.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, once again to The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. Of course, Glen, welcome back once again. I want to ask you this. The new National Party has recently, should I say, ramped up pressure on government over issues like, public health, transparency, fiscal management, the economic relief, and so forth. How are you organizing grassroots networks to translate that public dissatisfaction into solid, registered support for the NMP?
Well, no, you have to educate the people on what's happening and what's the real reality that we're facing if change doesn't happen. And I'm glad that you're raising some of these issues. Even the fiscal point is pretty relevant right now, as Parliament is now discussing a supplementary budget. And you only do a supplementary budget when your other budget, you didn't plan properly in your other budget and cannot take the additional expenses that government is now facing. And let's say, and for everyone who's listening, I don't think we've ever had so many supplementary budgets in our history ever. And the extent of which the supplementary budget is this time around is somewhere upwards of 300 million. That tells you a very, very interesting or very dark picture. One, the government has poor planning in place, in that you haven't captured almost a quarter of $1 billion. And where is this to? What items are government spending on that probably were not fully exhausted in the previous budget? And by the way, we're still in August, guys. We're not in September yet. There's still September, October, November, and December to go before the next budget is called. So how it is that we are already at this point where we need a supplementary budget, and that needs to we need to be able to, as a party, be able to take that information, translate it to the most easiest way to digest and express that and spread that in the grassroots as much as possible, so that they understand that there's a lot of fiscal irresponsibility going on.
Let me hear your views on foreign policy just a wee bit. Do you believe the government is doing enough to address the U.S., visa ban affecting Grenadians right now?
Well, at this point in time, I don't think the government is doing anything, because they haven't told us they're doing anything. And I think the government chose this silence over giving a response thing, and it has completely backfired. Us not having a stance on anything that initially was supposed to be I think it was lauded online as some genius way of not addressing the elephant in the room, but it has come back to bite us.
Yeah.
Paying a bond to travel of $15,000 minimum is insane for any Grenadian. I don't think any Grenadian has 15, which is probably amounts to something close around 35,000 EC. Just sitting around to just be held up in a bond for 3 months at a time. That's unfair. That's ludicrous to any Grenadian looking to travel, whether it be for vacation, whether it be for health, whether it be for to visit family, or whatever the reason is. The other point is, in this scenario, now that you raised foreign relations, specifically visas, is that Carnival has just ended.
Yeah,
we have some of the biggest songs in the region from our Carnival, and most of our artists can travel. I know I don't know if it's officially out there, but it's rumor mill that most of our artists lost their work visas.
Yeah.
And one can say we lost it either by way of the relations they followed with the Americans and their visa restrictions, because I think today I just saw that Trump had planned to revoke almost 1 million work visas. So what is the government doing to assist us? Assist us and these artists who depend on the U.S. market heavily to earn a living? Because let's face it, without the artists going out there, Spice Masters doesn't grow. And if Spice Masters doesn't grow, we are at risk of losing more revenue, which from our biggest revenue earner in the calendar year.
But what would you say government should be doing no more to help these particular challenges, especially for the artists?
No, the government has to have a sit down and have discourse with the ambassador, and if the ambassador can point them in the right direction, aggressively engage the United States on how to turn around this or correct whatever has happened. You have to have an action plan and be transparent about what you're doing. If we don't know what you're doing at all, then we cannot say that you're doing anything. But and they're going to say it works the other way. If they're silent that you don't know what we're doing, then you don't know. There's a lot of work going on behind it. But tell us what you're doing, because it feels like nothing is being done, and these artists are just there waiting for some help, for some assistance. I have actually been, as a lawyer, I've actually been consulted to see what I can do, what connection I have with any U.S. attorney, U.S. immigration attorney that could assist. This should be the government's job to assist these artists in having these issues with their work visas sorted out as quickly as possible. If we miss this opportunity, we are at risk of our so-called not being at the top, and then our art is not trending to make and to generate as much revenue as possible on their behalf, and they themselves support their families and support their communities.
Would you say that this particular visa issue is showing the signs of a wider problem in Grenada's relationship with the U.S. over the United States?
Definitely. I mean, it hasn't been going good since we got on the list, and it's been getting worse. And it doesn't seem like anything is being done to address that concern. So, I love my diaspora family, but some of us may not be able to come and visit, so you have to come and visit us more often. That's maybe the reality.
Still opening up the magic of the conversation. Well, of course, what do you make of the recent move by government to cancel that agreement with GPG when it comes to Grenada and on oil exploration? What's your take on that?
From a legal standpoint, I am deeply concerned, and I think many of my peers are deeply concerned, because the economic fallout of that, if the government is not successful in defending against any possible litigation or legal action, is upwards in millions or probably even billions, because the agreements had to be signed, projections had to be agreed on, and if you unlawfully terminate a contract of that nature, you are going to have to pay damages, and damages are going to be through the roof. Our debt is already high. There's the World Bank, there's the IMF, they monitor us like hawks. If we add this to our debt books, what next can we spend on? When can we even think about developing? Because all our focus will be going to paying back this debt along with all the other debts that we have. So you're going to be putting a strangle, it's almost like you're putting a noose around the country.
Do you believe the process, the way the level that it has gotten to know and where it was before, do you think the process that from before to now was handled properly?
I can't say that unless I have been involved, and again, the government has not been transparent in what has been happening. They had a press briefing the other day. They tried to say certain things, but there's a lot of questions left unanswered. There's a lot of failure of transparency. I think the Prime Minister mentioned that there was some ghost PS. Where is the evidence of the ghost PS? If you're going to make these accusations of the other side, then I hope you have the evidence to back it up. The leader of the task force, I think that's his title, Mr. Book. He made some comment as well that they were being hardboiled about certain things, and when you really peel back some of the things that they were saying, is that they didn't have the file. One thing they said, they didn't have the file. First of all, this government, while they were in opposition, lauded the fact that there was no oil. Just remember that. They came into office, said there was no file. And this, right? Mr. Bowen, they consulted Mr. Bowen, and he was able to point them to where the file was. The file didn't exist. Oil didn't exist all of a sudden again. And then we went back to the files were missing. You take that chronology as you will, and ask yourself questions. If the files you say were not existing, what files are missing? What did you have from what you didn't have? And if you can't come up with those answers, and those answers cannot be transparently provided to the public, then you can imagine what's going to happen between the parties when they take whatever legal course of action they need to take. Because documents clearly existed. We don't know what documents they say were missing. They're saying that in their press briefing they didn't have anything. But again, if you go to chronology, they said they found the file. So who's telling the truth? Who's not telling the truth? Who's acting in good faith? Who's acting in bad faith? Who's coming to the court with clean hands? Who's coming to the court with dirty hands? All those things are going to met out in the public, and it's not going to be good for us at all. My hope is that we're not too far gone, and this thing can be settled or hashed out amicably as quickly as possible.
We certainly hoping for the best. In terms for Grenada,
correct.
For Grenada in general. Now, the new National Party has raised questions about how government contracts and have been awarded. What specific concerns the party, I'm talking about the new National Party, or do you also believe that is sufficient transparency or fairness in terms of the procurement process?
Well, when you have people going on press briefings and saying that they didn't want to go through the procurement process, and again, go back and listen to the tapes or the interviews, the press briefings, you would hear them saying that they don't want to go through the procurement process. Grenada has an act specifically dealing with our procurement process, and if you don't follow the act, then how are these contracts legally entered? We'd have asked questions openly on different forums, and I saw one person online try and say, the government has it on our website. So all the government has is the date of the contract, how it was entered into, and the amount. Now, some of these contracts are worth $50-60 million. And if the government can be transparent as to how those contracts were entered into, if they followed the Procurement Act, if the Procurement Board was engaged, then we're looking again at an instance where these contracts are entered in illegally. And if they entered in illegally, how it is that the Grenadian people are being bound by these enormous contracts, how it is that contractors here are not aware of these offerings or these tenders. Because, again, there's different ways that this can work. You either do open tender or you do specific tender. Specific tender or specific negotiated tenders, or where the government finds there's no other contractor with the expertise needed to carry out the works. And they engage the procurement board to assess whether or not this can be entered into, or whether or not the bills and whatnot can be entered into.
Okay.
All right. And if that isn't done, if we don't know if that information is not there for everybody to criticize or scrutinize, then what's happening? And those are the questions we keep asking. How did you go about entering into these contracts? And then the entities involved, some of the entities involved, I'm not going to call names on the show, but I can because it's public record in Trinidad and Tobago. Some of the entities involved have already been caught in inflating or overpricing their works. So and they've been sued by the state to recover some monies on basically overpricing and breaking what the Procurement Act they're supposed to do. So we engage with persons known for breaching the Act, which will I guess attract more scrutiny, and we're failing to be even more transparent.
What particular safeguards should exist, to ensure contracts that are awarded based on the competence and value, especially for taxpayers, rather than just that political connection, as you would say?
Well, no, that's why you have open tendering and you have a whole procurement board, and a procurement board assesses all the tenders, all the submissions, and ensures that the parties meet certain grades.
Okay.
So you submit your proposal, and the board grades it, and based on your grade is how you get awarded the contract.
Yeah.
If you bypass that and you go to a specifically negotiated one, now you have to explain the law. The Act requires you to explain and document why you're going this route. And if you fail to do that, then if you haven't entered into a contract legally or lawfully. Again, rule of law has to remain of paramount concern. And to the listeners, if you don't believe me about what I said about some of these companies that we're engaging in, Google is your friend. Google the company name, Google Trinidad, and you'll find it. And use the word procurement in your search.
You know, there are contractors from time to time. You hear the complaints that have been made about, you know, delayed payments and so forth. What impact does that have on these small businesses, workers, and the wider economy?
That has enormous impacts on family life in Grenada. Because let us be real, construction is probably one of the biggest employers. Probably the third biggest employer in Grenada. Yeah. Number one is government. Number two is, I believe, is SGU, and number three is construction. And when you don't pay these contractors, whose families are on the breadline, you have instances of to simply put it, hard life. You can't afford to put the meal on your table. You can't afford to send your child to school. You can't afford to put shoes on their feet, clothes on their back. It has an enormous ripple effect, and in terms of the economy, it slows down this turnaround of money, the spending of money. Money needs to turn around in the country, for us as the government to gain money, because VAT is on everything.
Okay.
So if people are not spending, how are we collecting?
All right. We due for a break, our final break on the program this morning. When we come back, we of course give our listeners and viewers opportunity. They may have a question or two they may want to ask.
Sure.
We shall do that in the next segment. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. 435-2041. When we come back, the lines will be open to you, listeners and viewers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Before the digital age, before the world moved at the speed of a click, there was a signal connecting a nation. In 1986, a journey in broadcasting began in Grenada, a journey that would grow into a trusted voice across the country. For 40 years, through radio and television, we've been there for the stories that shaped our nation, the news that mattered, the voices that informed us, the moments that brought us together. Your stories, your voices, your moments. The Grenada Broadcasting Network, 40 years strong, one nation, one network.
A new school year means new opportunities, but it also means new expenses. From uniforms and books to laptops, transportation and school supplies, Grenville Cooperative Credit Union Limited is here to help. Apply for a back-to-school loan and give your child the confident start they deserve with affordable financing and friendly service from the credit union you know and trust. Visit your nearest Grenville Cooperative Credit Union branch or call us today for more information. Grenville Cooperative Credit Union Limited, helping members build brighter futures, one school year at a time.
You've arrived in paradise. You felt the rhythm. Now let's make sure you say it right.
Hey, my name is Florian. I'm from the beautiful Aida Perla cruise ship. So today, like we Germans say, we are in Grenada. But I heard it.
Terms and conditions.
Grenada.
Say it right. Grenada.
Say it right.
Grenada.
That's right. Grenada. There we go. Say it right. It's Grenada. It's not Grenada. It's Grenada. Say it right.
welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. We're into the final segment of today's program, up to the point. Just roughly 10 minutes or so left before we take a wrap for today. As mentioned, of course, I give this opportunity to our listeners and viewers. If you do have a question or two, you, of course, have the opportunity to do. I beg of you to be brief in your contribution, please, so we can accommodate as many callers as possible. And we do have our first caller via WhatsApp. WhatsApp caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning
to you. Go right ahead, please.
Yes. I would like to just make a couple of statements, very brief. One, our foreign policies are weak because they are not telling us anything. Things are happening. Visa removing from people. They deporting Grenadians even though they have visa or not. So we are not knowing what is going on. They are not being transparent. Two, with the GPT, with the oil and gas, they are lying for us left, right, and center, and they know the truth. In the health sector, the Minister for Health should come out and resign to see what is going on there recently, because we are hearing that this guy is escaping more than once. He escaped more than once. And there's nothing being done, nothing being put to place, right? This disease is very dangerous. And you catch the guy, handcuff the guy on the bed, or put qualified security, well-trained security, and gear them up with the proper equipment, because we know that we are dealing with a dangerous disease. These guys have been going out to have an epidemic.
Caller, I'm trying to get the specific question you're trying to ask, caller, but you were making a lot of contributions. Is there anything specific you want to ask?
I think he just wanted to speak on. I think he just wanted to speak on the fact that there's lack of the general theme he had just now was the lack of transparency.
Yeah,
and I think in both of the things he addressed, or three of the things he addressed was. First being our visa issue of foreign affairs, and then secondly being the GPG matter, and then third our health and the security of health. The last one is more so he needs to get to that question, but the first two was generally just the transparency of this government.
Okay, we do have another caller. Caller, your life. Good morning, welcome.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Go right ahead, please. And I beg of you to be brief.
You know what I'm very happy about, right? Is the fact that in that short time, the government under the leadership of Deacon Mitchell done so much. I don't think that anything that the opposition say, people will regard it as sensible or really rewarding in any way, simply because they had the opportunity, they won 15 seats on many occasions, and they never implemented what we see now. All what we're hearing now is political posturing and innuendos, and they're not presenting any evidence to show what they will do to improve Grenada from the trajectory that Grenada is under right now. You see that what's been promised in the manifesto, right? Regularization, gratuity, pension, the increase in salary, and people have been made prominent. A lot of the health services were repaired. A lot of these stations were repaired. The creatives, fields, and so on. We had a situation where the government, 6 persons were given the opportunity to study in specialized field in the medicinal field. And what you're hearing is just regurgitation of the same old, without giving a clear direction as to where they want to see Grenada go. So what I'm saying, my brother, I think you should come and be part of the NDC's team, because you sound as if you have some ideas, you're just on the wrong team. Because as it stands right now, every little child throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and PD Matnek, they are seeing, they are feeling, and they are understanding what the government doing. Look around, open up your eyes, and I know you know what I'm saying is factual and it's truthful, and you are there to promote your party, and that is understandable. But at the end of the day, when the reality hits you, you're going to see the trajectory in which Grenada going, and there's no way of denying the amount of progress we saw in the 4 years thus far under the leadership of Deacon Mitchell. There's nobody can deny it. Out there in the diaspora, they've seen it.
Caller, when I actually take another 10 seconds wrap, please. please.
And I think we should just keep on praying for the Prime Minister as well as the opposition. And I think you should join the NDC. Have yourself a good day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. Respond to the caller.
First and foremost, I keep hearing this talk of, a lot of that's been done in the last 4 years. I mean, if you guys could point out to me the amount that has been done, I think we have more failures from this government than we have positives. I mean, you speak on regularization. Tell me the percentage of regularization workers that have occurred. I understand the teachers had a bit, and that's about it. And then the nurses had one or two. But if you look at the amount of contract workers that still remain, you would ask yourself whether or not this government has actually kept that promise. The promise was by the stroke of a pen, and I think you guys keep forgetting that. By the stroke of a pen, everybody will be made permanent, and that has not happened. I want y'all to realize that. The first thing you said was the payment of pension. This government came into office and met a bank, a pregnant treasury as they call it, of $500 million in reserves, and that there was clearly planned by the NNP to take care of pension payments. Dr. Mitchell never said he wasn't going to pay, but he was going to let the coast decide what his next steps were going to be. He engaged the public service on how to go about. He engaged the trade unions to how to go about payments. That was never not going to be the case. So if we are judging progress on the plans left back by the NNP, then all the progress that you're talking about and you're lauding about is really the NNP's progress. What has the NNC done on their own initiative to bring this country forward? What have they done? If you look at all the big projects, all the major projects over the last 10, 15 years, all of them have the NNP stamp on them. The National Stadium, the hotels, and there's about 4 hotels that have been built in the last 10, 15 years. All of them doing extremely well. Amongst the other big institutions and corporations that have been doing. Our relationship with China has developed under the NNP. Our relationship with the US has developed under the NNP. Our regional corporation, again, developed under the NNP. You speak on this progress, my friend. I think you are looking through the wrong lens, or your lens is tinted. Because if you actually had clear lenses, you would know those are all plans put in place by the new National Party. In fact, if the young and youth, you speak on the youth. If you're looking at the youth unemployment and unemployment as a whole is higher than it's ever been. It has not decreased. And that is actually one of the promises that they had. If you look at their manifesto, I want you to go through their manifesto. Open it up today. And line by line, ask yourself where they are on those points, where they are on their transformation agenda. Line by line, tell me where they are.
All right, we do have another caller. Caller live, and we'll be off.
Yes, good morning, Mr.
Caller live. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Telesford. Greetings and greetings to your guest.
Good morning.
I must indeed say I missed a great part of your program involved in other little shows. I don't sit down very much, Mr. Telesford. But something just came out of that gentleman. I should say this first before. There was a chap, an old English philosopher called John Locke. He said these words: the actions of men are the greatest manifestations of their thoughts. Mr. Telesford, is not what they say. Those who, quote unquote, as we say locally, bigging up the government, all they have done, and those who today criticizing while in the opposition, but I'm not hearing anything about what we should do as a people to guarantee that these situations of deja vu simply do not return. I asked the questions of your godly guest. I didn't even get his name, but I can tell that he's new. Sir, what is your political ideology, sir? In other words, can you give me 2 or 3 philosophical beliefs that set the basis for your economic, social, and otherwise theories that you propose to sell to the people that will bring about changes in the direction of this country as we move forward? And 2, you mentioned about transparency. Yes, You're quite right. But tell me, what do you propose to do to guarantee that this situation doesn't recur? Abuse by ministers. It didn't just start, no. So when they criticize it, they have right to criticize about you, and probably not to say you are referred to your administration that you supported previously, you probably don't know. But what do you propose to do to stop them, sir? To stop it and to get the grade? What about me, NNP, NDC? What about me? I don't believe in any one of them. I don't have space in this here country, rhetorical. But please, give me a little thing there. May I hear your views. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And that was our final caller for the morning.
I think he kind of wanted me to regurgitate what we spoke about first.
Yes.
Well, first and foremost, I would say that my first interest has always been in nation building. I believe in the mantras of the NMP, in that every able-bodied man or woman should have a job. There should also be, everyone should have access, every young person should have access to primary, secondary, and tertiary education. There should be specialized education for those in need. I believe that healthcare is for one and all, and there should be affordable healthcare for everyone. Given those three backdrops, I believe that we need to have some reform and how we bring that reality closer, how we can touch that reality, how we can live within that reality. And don't worry, the NMP has its manifesto. We are going to be releasing it in a timely manner. Once the time comes, that is definitely going to be at your fingertips to read and go through. And I want to tell you now that everything that you just raised and anything that is tickling your brain as to what can possibly be done to improve and develop and bring us forward is captured in that manifesto. The second question was in relation to
I think it slipped me also.
Transparency. How do we control and ensure transparency? Now, some other islands have a legislation where public records, public documents can be requested by anybody. I think that is something that we need to look into, that we need to enact, so that ensure that even if the government refuses to be transparent, if me or you wants to access that information, the law would require them or require that institution to provide it to us. And I think that is something we definitely need to look into.
All right. Dylan, I want to thank you once again for popping in and sharing your information with me this morning, sharing to our listeners. Of course, hope to have you back soon again on the program so we can fully expand. I think we just grazed the surface in terms of a conversation.
Yeah. I think we have some other things to discuss. And if the people want me to talk some more and listen, please comment on the post, share the live, like it. I am here. I'm available. I'm here to have a discussion.
All right. Until we do this again, thanks once, and
no problem.
Best wishes for being you this morning.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Great day. Hey, folks, that's where we take a wrap for today's edition Up to the Point. Thank all who contributed. Have a good one, folks. That's where we say goodbye.